Good evening. Welcome to John Allen Life on the Roads. Whose fault is it really? You got to really think about that question. Whose fault is it? Is it a company's fault if somebody runs for 40 cents a mile, 30 cents a mile, 20 cents a mile, 10 cents a mile? No. It's the person that decided to say yes, they will run it. That's whose fault it really truly is. Whose fault is it if an owner operator runs for $1.10 a mile, $1.20 a mile, $1.30 a mile? Is it the broker? Is it the shipper? No, no. It's the guy who's running, or the woman who's said yes. Yes, I'll take that load. That's whose fault it is that they ran for that amount of money. It's not the broker's fault. It's not the shipper's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not your next door neighbor's fault. It's the person running that truck. That's whose fault it is. It ain't nobody else's fault. To blame somebody else for the rates that you haul for the money that you make or you don't make, is nobody's fault but the person that's operating that business. It's just like you. If you get somebody to pay you $4, $5, $6, $7 a mile and you make a lot of money, you're happy. You're jumping up and down. You get that $6,000 check for the week, and boy, you're happy. You don't care how much the person that paid you made off of what you done. You care about what you made. The same as a shipper, same as a broker, same as anybody in any business. Any smart businessman is going to try to charge as much as they can with the less overhead that they can. That's called smart business. Smart business. You have to run your business where you make a profit. Nobody can do that for you. You know, we always hear about the 1970s. Well, the 1970s, we got deregulated. That means we could haul for whatever we wanted to haul for. Nobody could tell us how much to haul it. But I hear about the 1970s. But I don't think people understand what it was for. Now you're wanting the government to regulate. You're wanting the government to regulate the major companies. But you don't want the government to regulate you. You want the government to regulate the brokers, but you don't want them to regulate you. That don't make no sense. It truly don't make no sense. It don't. It don't. Is it a kid's fault that he don't do his homework? Yeah, it really is. If he comes back and says, well, Mom, Dad, I didn't understand it. The first thing I always ask, did you ask questions? Did you ask your teacher a question? Did you come home and did you ask your mom? Did you ask me? Did you ask your older sister, your older brother, whatever? Did you ask somebody for help? Did you ask somebody to show you how it's supposed to be done? No. If you are not using the tools to make your business better, that ain't nobody's fault but the person operating the business. That's whose fault it is. It's nobody else's. Nobody else's. We can sit here and point fingers at the pilot for charging $25 or $20, whatever it is. I don't even pay to park. Most of them I don't even park at a big truck stop. I park at a small mom and pops. I park at a rest area. I don't park at the big truck stops most of the time. But they're running a business. They have a right to run that business. If you don't like that business, you don't like the fact that they're charging to park, you don't like the fact that they're charging you for a cup of coffee because you're a driver and you're buying thousands and thousands of gallons of fuel, if you don't like the fact that they're charging for showers, then don't shop there. Don't go there. You don't like the fact that Walmart won't let you park in a parking lot? Then don't go there. Don't use their facility. Don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Go somewhere else. That's how you'll make a change. I hear all the time, all these big truck stops, they're charging everybody way too much. Then stop going to them. Don't go to them. C.H. Robin's the worst broker in the world. We hear it all the time. But then, where'd you get your load at? C.H. Robin's. TQL's the worst brokers in the world. Where'd you get your load at? TQL. Coyote, the pain in the butt. Where'd you get your load at? Coyote. Why? Why? Why if these people are so bad, if they're so unprofessional, if they're ripping you off and taking money out of your pocket, then why are you still doing business with them? That's the question I have. That's the true question. Whose fault is it, really? Nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head and saying you have to haul a load. Nobody's holding a gun to anybody's head and says you have to go to the pilot. You have to go to the TA. You have to go to the Petro. You have to go to anywhere. You choose to do that. And see, I try to keep everything opened up for the company drivers and the owner-operators, right? Because we're all supposed to be one. We're all supposed to be brothers and sisters. But the problem is, most of the company drivers ain't got the same problems. And we know that. That's a fact. Now, they want to complain about CFI. They want to complain about Warner and Swift and Snyder and J.B. Hunt and everybody else, right? You know what? When they started out very small. They didn't start out with 10,000 trucks. They started out small. And they ran their business. And they built it up. 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 The same as you would if you could. They made smart business decisions to build their business. So if the company drivers are not happy with the money that they're making, they need to go somewhere else. Because if no drivers was going to work for them, then they wouldn't have no drivers to rip off. I know people that work at Swift and they've been there for 30, 40 years and they love it. They're making all kinds of money. They're making all kinds of money. You want to fix it? Instead of worried about the rules and regulations that you think that they're making hard on you, try to start making them enforce the rules and regulations towards everybody else. Whose fault is it really? I'm going to answer that question. It always starts with yourself. It ain't nobody's fault, nobody's business. If you cannot succeed on your own. You know, I've went in business with a few people every once, throughout my life. And I've been bankrupt in my life. I'm not rich now. But every time I've made a business deal, every time that something's ever happened in my life, when it boils down to it, it's actually my fault if I succeed or I fail. Whether it's because I made a bad business decision, whether I didn't pay attention enough, whether I trusted somebody enough. No matter what, it always comes out to be my fault. Why is it my fault? Because I'm the one doing the deal. I should have paid better attention. I should have paid closer attention. I should have made sure what was being done right. So instead of pointing fingers at everybody else, as my grandma always said, you point one finger that way, you got three pointing back at you. That's where the problem starts. That's where the problem has to stop. To blame everybody else for your failures and for your successes is ridiculous. It cracks me up. It really does. Because you hear everybody how smart they are when they succeed. When they're making all this money. When they're home all the time and they're happy and they're whatever. Oh man, I'm so smart. Look what I done. Look what I done. Look what I done. But the minute that somebody fails, the minute that something goes wrong, that same person that was last month bragging about making $20,000 is now blaming somebody else for their problems. Don't sound right. Don't sound right. You know, it cracks me up. I watch people's videos and they first start working for somebody and they're the best people in the world. And it don't matter if they've been there and gone, been there and gone, been there and gone. I watched one guy's video. He's worked for the same company for 4 different times, I think. And every time he goes back, this is a good company. This is the best company. And within a few months, he's complaining about that same company. They don't get him home on time. They don't do this. They don't do that. You didn't know that the first 3 times? So you went back a 4th time. And now you want to put the company down on social media because you went back 4 times. You went back 3 times. You went back 2 times. You went back whatever. You chose to do it. You knew what they was going to do. Why did you do it? People, I hate going to Walmart distribution centers. They take 7 hours. Where you heading? Walmart. I'm going to Walmart distribution center. I hate Cisco. They're a pain in the butt. Where you heading? Cisco. You already know. But you're going to get there and then you're going to put on Facebook. You're going to put on Instagram. You're going to put on Twitter how Cisco and Walmart and anybody else, they're holding you up all day long. You only been there a million times, but you're going to complain about it every time. If you don't like it, don't go. That's simple. If you don't like it, don't go there. If you don't like the money you're working for, go somewhere else. There's no law states you have to work for somebody. You don't like the rates that you're running for, raise them up. There's no law states you have to run for $1.25 a mile. No law. No law states you have to work for $1.25 a mile. Not at all. None, period. Ain't nowhere in no law states that you have to run and you have to do what somebody else wants you to do. You don't like the company you're leased on to, take your truck somewhere else. You don't like any of the companies you ever leased on to, you have the option to take your own authority. Save your money, take your own authority. Book your own freight. Hook up your own customers. Think about it, folks. It ain't common sense. It really ain't. It don't even take common sense to understand what I'm saying. It don't take no common sense. It just takes a little bit of sense. You have to be the one that fixes it. You can't depend on the Congress or the senators or the president or the shippers or the receivers or the brokers. You have to fix it. Nobody else can fix it for you. I'm not going to fix it for you. Nobody is. You have to fix it. Bottom line. Bottom line. Can you run your truck the same as you did last year? Maybe not. Maybe you got to figure out a new way, a different way, so you can make the same money or more. Most likely, if you would open up and see the big picture, you'd probably make more money. Open minds leads to success. Closed minds lead to failure. If you're not willing to change, then you're probably going to end up changing your job. Because you're probably not going to succeed. If you're not making money in the trucking industry, if you're not making money in the trucking industry, then you're doing something wrong. Bottom line. Keep the shiny side up, the dirty side down. Catch you on the flip side. God bless.